Okay, first, who didn't say first tonight?
Um, T Ray said first, but actually, the real first person is actually K8MRD Mike.
Okay, he's a big fan of the show.
Wonder why.
Oh no. All right. Well, good evening from New Jersey, and
Good
good evening
evening from
from
Alabama.
yeah, over there somewhere. All right. Welcome to Two Chicks in a Radio, where we are two chicks and we talk about radio, and we have a special guest tonight who is going to talk about his Go Box project.
Yes,
Okay,
we
so this
do.
show airs on two channels. It airs on Ria Shackam Radio this week, and next week it's going to air on Dixie
My channel.
VX. Yeah. So if you don't want to miss an episode, subscribe to both. I'll tell you, things been really weird this week. My channel apparently got botted. Somebody tried to bot my channel, so I kind of um, had to like privatize one of the videos they were targeting. I don't know for what reason, so I'll see what happens. But yeah, it's kind of it's kind of interesting what's been going on lately. So, but hopefully you have some good news for us.
Well, I've got some news on the table, and I was able to pick out at least one. This is actually one of my favorite places that I want to go. And I do parlez-vous français?
Oh, oui.
Oui, oui. So France actually is making their ham radio exam and operator certificate free now.
Wow. Go France. Unlike the
Oui,
United
oui.
States, who's going to slap us with a $35 fee. Maybe we should take some lessons from France.
Maybe.
Oh, wow.
C'est la vie.
C'est la vie.
C'est la vie.
Oh, well. Yeah, France. I don't know.
Yeah. Oui, oui. Français.
Yeah, I
Oui,
do
oui.
have a European trip possibly planned in the future with kids, so we're going to have to see how that goes. To visit their big sister in Netherlands, which is kind of interesting. So maybe make a stopover. And I have miles to go on Air France. So we'll probably stop off in
Oui, oui.
Paris.
You got the
Probably
Louvre.
have
You got
there
the Eiffel
there was
Tower.
yeah, La Tour Eiffel. There was some guy who was saying, the proper way to say a croissant is you don't say croissant, you say croissant. You have to like
No,
croissant.
it's croissant. Croissant.
All right. So that's good for France. I
It's
I love
definitely not.
looking.
It's definitely not crescent. It's croissant.
Mm, so
Actually, we have a French bakery here in Huntsville. I'm
right.
going to go check that out at some point.
Yeah, there's plenty of them in New York and some of them in New Jersey, Newark, and stuff too. So we'll see
Well,
what. You say what
rarity
now?
here. I want to go try it out.
What
So
else
up
is in the
next
news?
in news is Jennifer Sensiba, K3JEN,
Hmm.
that she's talking about how ham radio can teach us about power efficiency.
Yeah, that's cool. And I've been learning a lot about power efficiency. I actually have a video upcoming about power in ham radio and how I make my station energy efficient. And one of the things we've talked about is the FCC rules. So what did she do though?
Let me take a quick synopsis. She is actually, she says some of them have made a point to see just how little power they can use exchanging messages around the world, and this is known in the ham world as QRP.
Mm-hmm.
So the challenge is actually to communicate on 5 watts or less. But most range out of those 5 watts, but the most use of them is Morse code. And then
Hmm.
computers allow the power levels to go even lower. As computers have become more capable, signal analysis has improved to the point where some operators are sending signals thousands of miles with only a few millionths of a watt.
Mm. Yeah, I have here. This is an EcoFlow river bank. It's one they sent me some time back. It's a power bank. This thing is like 96, 98 watt hours, and it's the largest size power bank you can travel with on an aircraft, on a commercial airliner. So it's pretty good stuff. So yeah, you have a good power budget with that. EcoFlow, they've been on a tear. They sent me a lot of good stuff, and I'll be reviewing some on the channel too. And we'll be talking about power efficiency as well. All
Well,
right. Well, what else you got?
and then our lovely Cold War neighbors, Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the destruction of an orbiting satellite raises space debris concerns. So Russia has
Mm,
actually tested an anti-satellite weapon on November the 15th, destroying one of its own old and defunct satellites, Cosmos 1408, launched in 1982. I wasn't even born yet. And was some 300 miles above the Earth. Its destruction generated a debris field in Earth orbit. And that prompted the 7 International Space Station crew members, including one Russian cosmonaut, to take cover in their crew capsules for several hours in case they had to abandon the station.
wow.
Occupants of the Chinese space station are reported to have taken similar action. The incident also has generated criticism from many corners and a grave discussion on the possible impact of any future such tests by Russia or anyone else. The danger of damage to the ISS or an orbiting satellite aside, tracking a debris field that could include thousands of pieces in order to head off collisions is a concern all its own. Very small debris in space is essentially impossible to track reliably, if at all. So the incident comes at a time when the number of spacecraft in orbit continues to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So we're already
Yeah.
crowded out there, and but now we have at least 1,500 trackable fragments and possibly hundreds of thousands of smaller, yet still threatening pieces of debris in low Earth orbit,
Yeah.
which could cause us problems.
Yeah. Yeah. That is very concerning. I mean, it's as Ron's saying here, that's pretty reckless. And I don't know. There might there might be some in the UN about that, but people think the UN really is not that effective. But we'll see what happens. But now that's pretty reckless. I mean, yeah, they might be trying for something to to try to get something bigger. Well, you know what? Let's hope good sense prevails. I mean, and I hope world leaders are taking note. What else is going on?
Well, Jeanette KN6DAD used whisper data to investigate sporadic E.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
she outlined how she used the data from the WhisperNet website to investigate sporadic E propagation. So
Very
she
good.
so she downloaded this, and solar indices were from the indices from German Research Center for
Indices, yeah.
Geosciences. Yeah, thank you. In February. Um, so the WhisperNet spot records of 28, 50, and 144 megahertz
Wow.
transmission 2020, and there were used for analysis, combining related spot records. So the punitive sporadic E propagations were identified as when a transmission distance was about 12 kilometers in the above identified bands.
Hmm.
The total number of records used for the analysis was 1,118 and 989.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's some good stuff. As much as we enjoy sporadic e propagation, I don't think anybody really understands fully how it works. There's a lot of theories behind it, but I don't think we really fully understand what's going on. But it's fascinating when they do new solar science. I mean, they've actually used amateur QSO data from the solar eclipse QSO party to actually analyze amateur radio propagation. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's see what else you got for us.
That was actually it.
Okay. All right. Well, tonight, folks, there's been a lot of focus on portable operation. I see we have a number of hams here who some of them are well known in the portable world. K8MRD is the king of POTA. I mean, might as well. And you have a few others, who are into POTA and stuff like that, and SOTA. And actually got some. I got a sneak peek of some of their stuff at ARRL, so I'm not going to say exactly what, but shh. But they've been doing some good stuff, and it's there's a lot of good stuff coming down the pike. I'm going to be up in Connecticut tomorrow evening, so let's see how that goes. Um, and yes, Ron, there is a lunar eclipse tonight. So gonna have a nice blood moon, and it's gonna be a long lunar eclipse. It's gonna be like 3 hours, I believe. 3 whole hours of partial blood moon. Woo, woo, baby. And the thumbnails looks exactly like your own box. Well, that's a picture Ron sent me. So, not Ron, Bob. I'm sorry. So without further ado, I will bring in Bob. Hello, Bob. NU3Q. This is N2RJ with W4DXY on the 2 Chicks in a Radio live stream here on Ria Shack Ham Radio. How's it going?
Good evening, ladies. How's it going? I'm glad to be on the show, and I appreciate the invite.
Well,
Well, we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah. We saw what you had, and we figured it was interesting enough, and people have already been asking questions. So, why don't you give us a little intro to this project and tell us what you're about?
Okay, sure. I'd be glad to. Just for purposes of introduction to the audience, my name is Bob Menti, NU3Q. I'm here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I am the Aries EC for my local county here, Allegheny County, which covers the greater Pittsburgh area. I've been in that position for about the last 2 years now. And I do a very active interest in MCOM, obviously. And my reason for building this box is based around for the reasons for MCOM and also POTA. Obviously, I do some POTA, mostly POTA work with this box. But if I need to, I have this box available to me if something bad should happen. And cross my fingers if bad happens. But you always prays to be prepared. Always. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. Make sure. Okay. Share screen. Okay.
Yeah, can you share? If you can't share, we'll see.
Okay, is my entire screen. My share box is grayed out apparently.
Let me see if I can. It's weird. How do we do this? All right, hang on a second. Yeah. Kat, how do you get him to share? You're muted. You're muted.
All right.
Muted.
You sent him the link to join in, right? He should have a share tab at the bottom. Do you not have a share tab?
Yeah, I got share and cancel, but my share button's grayed out for some odd reason.
All right. Give me a second.
Okay, I just did cancel there.
It shouldn't be.
Okay, let me try one more time here.
Try that time.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Okay, let me know when to hit share screen.
It should be. It should be there.
Entire screen. Oh, I figured out the problem. I forgot to click the screen icon itself. Now we should be good to go. Okay.
Good.
All right. Now I'm going to add it. There you go.
Okay, now we're set. My apologies, ladies.
No worries.
Okay. So by the way, in case you're wondering, it's NU3Q Labs is only a moniker. It's not an actual company, just for purposes of clarification. That's something I came up with as a joke. Okay, so I'm going to talk my homebrew HF Go box, which I built 2 years ago. And I submit this, once again, it's mainly for MCOM purposes, but I do a lot of parks in the air. And Mike Kate MRD, I follow his channel regularly too, and he gave me a lot of good ideas. So thanks, Mike. And my box here, that's got a picture of my cat there, by the way. Her name's Heidi. She's the one who gave me her final approval.
Cat has like several of them. I think
Yeah,
one of them's gonna come on tonight.
yeah. Most people don't realize a cat, they're curious creatures by nature and like to rub their face against things, put their scent on it because they have scent glands on the side of their face. So she got marked and said, "You're okay to you're okay with him and we'll move on with it." Anyhow, I'm gonna start that little joke here. I'm sure most know what movie this is. Instead of you'll shoot your eye out, your RF your eye out.
It's not even Thanksgiving, and we talking Christmas.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
that's a classic thing. I always watch that on Christmas and Thanksgiving
Yeah, me too.
and Christmas Vacation.
Yeah. So tonight's trivia question. This is obviously a Christmas story movie.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what the amateur radio connection is with the foregoing picture in the movie itself? Any ideas?
So I know. Gosh,
No,
What
I'll
the
tell you, I've never watched that movie, but I
because he
think
had that radio and he had that decoder and everything.
Yeah. Anybody in your stream have an answer?
That's all I came up with.
Yeah, something about Ralphie. Wasn't Ralphie a ham?
Nope. Ralphie was on the right track, though, wasn't Ralph? Well, Ralphie, yes, not the actor.
Sorry, Gene Shepard, K2ORS.
Correct. That's the answer.
Right.
Gene Shepard, the narrator of
How could I
Ralphie, was
forget?
an actual ham, K2ORS.
Yeah.
But he has some interesting clips on YouTube where he talked about operating a shack, and he has a very vivid one, very scary about when lightning hit his shack. It's an interesting story, so check it out sometime.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I don't know if any people have been up in Cleveland. I'm about 2 hours away. I've been up to the Christmas Story House. It's a really neat place.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've never been to the house. I have been to Cleveland. I have a friend who actually lives in the Cleveland area.
Okay.
The next time I visit her, we're gonna go up there.
Yes, it's on the lower west side, not too far from the market, the west side market. Okay. I'm not going to go to the list here, obviously, but I'll give you a quick rundown here. What parts I need to make this box happen: accessories, little things, etc., etc., etc. The big thing I want to point out is this ox guard. You'll see a picture of it later on. This antioxidant paste.
Right.
I put this into a metal box, and a lot of connectors, like your SO239 RF connectors, are made like a silver-plated connector. Anytime you have two dissimilar metals, you're guaranteed to have corrosion. So this paste offers A, good ground, and B, prevents corrosion. Mm-hmm. So this is definitely an electrical antioxidant paste. It's very conductive. Okay, the rest are some other parts here. I'm not going to bore you with them. But all these pieces, I bought these back in the 2018 at the Dayton Hamvention from the Quicksilver Radio folks. Wow. So I called parts for this for about almost the course of a year. Okay, just kidding. That's actually the last of it right there. But the star of the show, I want to mention, is the Bio battery, which is a 15 amp hour battery and has Anderson power poles on it. I lied. There's one more screen here. But that's pretty much all the fun stuff I had to get to make this work. So once again, my motivation for building the box is having a quick deployment. I'm ready to go at a moment's notice. Don't have to waste time connecting anything up. Everything's already pre-connected already. And the most important thing, we have self-contained power on the battery. And I also have a second port, which I'll go over in a bit, for external power. I can connect an external power source in case the battery dies or I want to operate outside the battery and give it a chance to charge up and rest in case of an extended deployment. But generally, a bit of the battery gets me through the parks and your activation with no problem. So when I was researching this project, first thing is a case. First thing that came to mind are those plastic cases like musicians use, which is a picture of here on my screen. Is a picture. I looked at that and I thought, okay. And then I got to thinking some more. I said, there's a couple of flaws in my idea here. First of all, is as you know, most hams are like us. We're very frugal, so $150 plus is kind of a lot of money to spend on a case. Plus, you had to buy the extra shelf, more expense, and because this is an oversized item, the UPS, FedEx, and those guys charge you extra fee for anything oversized. So, and the most important to me is having good RF ground, because with HF radios, you're not going to have a balanced match with your antenna. The what's not going to bounce out has to go somewhere, so it has to go to a ground. So metal is not conductive, whereas metal is. One day, I finally saw the answer. I found a surplus Army ordnance box. That's what you have there in the picture. It's made of metal. It's a 50 caliber grade. The date in the box is May 1966. I have a friend of mine who served in the jungles of Vietnam at that very time. He confirmed to me that definitely was an Army issued 50 caliber box, because they had some similar what they used back then. And the nice part about it was the price. It was only $70 at my local Army surplus store. Obviously more cost effective. Once again, all metal construction for good grounding. I wrote the dimensions down there. With all the stuff in there, the weight comes around 20 pounds or so. And if I do cart long, if I did have long distance for carting it, I just put it. I have a little cart. I strap it to the cart, and away I go. So the first thing I did here is when I built this box, I got a cabinet handle at the hardware store.
That's what I was going to say. That looks like it came from straight out of a drawer.
Yep, that's a drawer. That's a drawer handle there, like you have in your kitchen cabinet.
It's crazy.
It works because there's two handles on either side of the box. Makes it a little harder to carry, so this makes it a little bit easier. But the key here is I put Loctite in the thread so it wouldn't come off. And in the last picture, you saw there's slots in the sides of the box. I had to take them off, carry. They're basically in the way. So I had to drill the overits out, and I had to get a little at the store. I bought it's a little tube. It comes in a tube. It's a two-piece mix. It's like liquid metal. You mix it together. It's like epoxy. I stuffed it in the holes, let it dry, then went over with my grinder and smoothed it out. Worked perfectly. Seen my father's machinist, so I know a few tricks of the trade.
Yeah. Oh, that's good stuff. So this is a question I was asked. What sort of Jager somebody? I'm sorry. He asked me. I think it was either on Discord or something, where what kind of saw did you use to cut the hole?
Yeah, there's your answer right there. I used a wood hole saw, but the key is this is thin nut is okay to use, but the key is when you do this, you have to use a very slow speed drill. So in this picture, my father's old Craftsman drill is around like 500 RPMs or something like that.
Right.
And
did you lubricate
also,
while you're drilling?
you have to use cutting fluid too to keep the heat down.
Right. Okay.
Yep. So my father had some old graphite based cutting fluid, which I used.
Right.
But I had to clean my hands off real good after, because it's a known carcinogen, so you have to really be careful with that.
Yeah, and not just in the state of California.
Exactly.
Okay.
That came from my days. My father worked in the mill. That's really
Wow.
kind of this mill clothes he bought. There a lot of stuff surplus there. But yeah, that's what you have to do: is cutting fluid and the slow speed.
Wow. Yeah, so he's here in this in the comments, and he asked me this on Discord, and he said, yeah, so that's him. So you got your answer, but continue.
Okay, thanks. No worries. If you have any questions, just pipe up. No problem with that.
Yeah.
So, and the next picture is the mount for my voltmeter and my power switch. And at the time I bought this, they only had a 4-hole mount, so I had to cut it in half with my Sawzall. But they do make a two-hole mount, so that's what I ended up doing. Now with wire management grounding, I did a lot of repurposing here. First of all, the fan, my cousin gave that to me as a freebie. Secondly, those great pieces of plastic, it's called a raceway. That's for wire management purposes. That's stuff I had left over. Back in the day, I used to have my own IT consulting business, and I used that when I was doing a network. I had to run some cabling, and I had some that left over from that job. And also in the picture too, if you can see my mouse here, I made these
Yeah, I can.
straps out of strip metal. That's a cage for the battery.
Right. So
Right.
the fan is like it's like one of these PC power supply fans or something.
Yeah,
Is it like a
exactly. It's a 4-inch muffin fan.
okay?
Yeah, something like that. But when I bent this metal, I did it in the vise and I whacked it with a hammer a couple of times to get that sharp bend in there.
Right.
So it holds the battery tight. And there's something else I'll talk about in a second to get that battery to be held tight. I got a bug here. And this piece here, I bought this at I got this at Lowe's, I think. It's a ground bar like in your circuit breaker panel, which I used. I'll talk about in a second where I grounded with that, how the grounding works with the box here. And obviously, I drilled a couple holes for my 239 connectors because I have a jumper cable going from that to the radio, and that's where I connect my antennas on the outside into the radio.
So yeah, Jagger, he was asking. He said, "So just go slow and it won't jump around." This is for the drill bit, right? The hole saw, because I think he
Yes.
was. So you just go slow, 500 RPM drill, and
Yep.
is there like a guide bit in the middle or not?
Correct. There's a drill bit in the middle, which when I had drilled this, I measured it out and I took a metal punch and punched a hole in the side of the case so the
Okay.
drill would skip on me.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so right, I do know because my dad was a shop teacher and he taught metalwork, and one of the things he had was like a little punch. You
Yep.
just like hit the punch first and then drill that way the bit doesn't walk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, so I drilled second hole in there, same concept for the Anderson power pole connectors there for my power ports. The bottom is for the battery charger, and the top is for an external power source. So in the final analysis, I did the mock-up on this. I laid everything out, and once I laid everything to my satisfaction, I broke it down and started the painting process. Unfortunately, I had to strip off the army paint because I knew wrestling would not stick, and I expected that was the case, and I was right. But as a side note, when I started stripping the paint down, I had a big old grinder with an 8-inch wire wheel that my father bought before he passed.
Hmm.
That thing is a beast, but it stripped that paint right off there. But when I did that, I had to wear a respirator and safety goggles, obviously, because that army more than likely had lead in it, so I had to take precautions there. So painting the box, I used Rust-Oleum primer first and brushed it on. It's basically farm implement enamel, mainly tractor paint. I
Right.
put 3 coats of primer on, and between the coats after they dried, I did a quick little sand with 600 grit wet sandpaper, meaning I dipped the sandpaper in water and lightly sanded the rough spots off the paint, and then wiped it off with a slightly damp rag. I let it dry, and then move on to my next coat. And in the end, I chose gray because we used to have a Ford tractor here. We sold that. That's the reason I chose Ford gray as my color choice. But the main reason was if I'm carrying this box around at a public service event, this law enforcement is going to see a green box and think I'm a terrorist or something. So I figured I better tone this down a bit and paint it gray.
Yeah, like one of my friends is a lawyer. He deals with defense cases for people who get caught in weapons charges and stuff like that. And he says the first thing is always make sure that you don't you even if you're 100% legal. If you're 100% legal, it's still a good idea to make sure that you don't have any questions.
Right.
And like if you carry things like ammunition boxes, they might think that it's ammunition in there. So you
Exactly.
have to be careful.
Yep. You have to be careful nowadays. So in the prep work last, I stripped the old army green paint off there and went to town with painting it. And there's a picture of me doing the primer part. And then the mounts, I just used the spray can of Rust-Oleum on them. So just to briefly recap with my mounts, this is the battery cage, these two, which I bent. This is the screen for the muffin fan. They call it hardware cloth, I believe. It has a 1/4 inch holes in the screen there. These two pieces I cut for the battery to hold it in place. You'll see in a later picture how I did that. And that's for the power switch for my fan. And that was obviously you saw before the mount for my voltmeter and my master power switch for the box. And then go to final. There's the final coat right there with the gray. And I painted the mounts black just to kind of give it a little contrast. And the star of the show is right here is the battery. I did some research and I came up NU was the clear winner in that category. You pay a little bit more, but you have a quality battery because it's noiseless. It does not generate any RF hash.
Yeah, and then these NU batteries, the lithium iron phosphate, you could deep discharge them and such. So you're not really, it's not like lead acid. You drain it past 30%, it'll immediately you damage the battery.
Yep. And the thing about this, the most important feature is this power protection control module built into the battery. Mm-hmm. If it runs down to, I think it's 12 volts, it'll cut off automatically. And it can't be overcharged either. And the most important thing is with the $1,000 plus radio, it also has a built-in circuit breaker. So since something's going to go wrong, it kicks right off right away, so you don't burn out a radio.
Yeah. So could you tell me again what size or Army number that box was? It looks bigger than a regular 50 cal. That's what Jager is saying.
No, it is 50. I confirm it's 50 cal.
Okay.
It definitely is.
So it is just a regular 50 cal.
As far as I know, yes, from what my friend told me.
Okay.
And just mentioned to him that once again, this is a Vietnam era box, so things are a little different then.
Right.
Okay, so with this battery, the number one question I get is about runtime. As they say, your mileage will vary. On the NU website, they have a chart that gives you various runtimes based on certain load capacities. With mine, I pretty much I'm a hard hitter in the transmit, so that's the ratio I use: 60 transmit, 40 receive. And it gives me close to 4 hours. And I know that because last year we were doing a special event station for one of our local news stations here, KDKA. They had their 100th anniversary last year. So a month of last November, all month long, we had four special event stations going in different areas. And one of them happened to be at their transmitter, so it was really cool. But I beat this thing pretty hard during that special event, and I got 4 hours out of that battery. So that's how I kind of know that. So as the man says, once again, your mileage will vary. And if you really want to know, get the nitty gritty, there is a runtime calculation, which I pulled off the bio and the website right there. I'll leave it up for a second. People can read it, and I'll move on.
Yeah. Okay. So you need the transmit power in watts, the receive power in watts, percentage of time you spend transmitting, and then follow this formula.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that seems pretty,
It's pretty straightforward, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, rules of operation, you analyze the stuff in the parentheses first.
Right.
According to MDAS. I mentioned for the homebrew battery mount, you can see those two pieces of angle iron I cut. One's on the front of the box, and one's on the side here to kind of hold that battery in place so it does not shift around. And I just happen to have that laying in my workshop. So zero cost to me there.
Right. Okay.
Tuner mounting. Going back to part just the beginning, I got them. There's like 1/2 inch metal brackets. I got Ace Hardware. It's what I used on this. I just mounted those brackets to the actual case screws and attached the clips that way to the case. so it wouldn't have to hack anything. And then drill the hole in the case to hold it to the tuner to the case. So works quite nicely. The radio itself, I use the icon mounts, and with the face of the radio, I took the mounting kit and used the as a template to mount the radio, and I drilled the holes in the case and put the screws in from the bottom to hold the head to the ammo box. This speaker, once again, I'm big on repurposing. This speaker I had from an old cell phone car kit I had back from the 90s. So I reused that again.
Yeah, it looks familiar. It looks very familiar.
It's a Nokia speaker.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I think I had one like that, to be honest.
Yeah, it was the old Nokia analog phone.
Yeah.
And it's similar.
Now-
It's little. Sorry, were you saying, Rhea?
Yeah, some people are asking. Well, one person said, "Too bad it didn't have solar power," but I guess you could always add on solar power.
That's the reason I had that
Add on-
second port in my that's the second port in the side of the box. I'll show you in a minute, or I can connect the solar panel to it.
And the second person asked, "Did you waterproof the box? Like, did you apply caulk or anything to waterproof?"
No,
Okay.
if I try to keep it out of the rain if it's all possible. If there's a rain forecast, I take a little tarp with me anyway.
Right.
In my world, there's no such thing as waterproof. You have to take appropriate precautions. That's the long answer. That's the short answer to the story. But on this signaling sound card, I had the little reinventing of the wheel, so to speak. As you can see, I had to actually physically hack this a little bit to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
I had to take this metal clips and pull the circuit board and everything out of the box there, and actually physically drill the holes inside the box there and put poppers in there to hold the clip to the box. Then mount it to the ammo box itself. So in my dot little right up here, what I did and I attached this. This is the trick to doing this. When you mount this signaling card, you have to use plastic screws and fiber washers because this signaling box has its own ground. And I wanted to separate it from the ground, the RF ground in the box, so would not be a mishmash.
Right.
So
So I have a question here from Wade, saying, "Did you use the built-in IC 7100 sound card?"
there is no real built-in IC sound card. I verified that the other day with DX Engineering.
Okay, so it doesn't have like a USB port sound card.
No.
Okay, all right. So I guess you have to use a signal link, like you're like.
Yep, there's a port in the back for that you can plug a signal link into it for that reason.
Right.
That's another question I get too. So when the stories I had to isolate the signal link ground from the RF ground in the case. And the only way to do that is use plastic hardware. And then once again, you can see the grounding bar I had in the box there. I took a flat braided cable and grounded the radio and the tuner to that box or to that bar there. And on the side of my box, I have a 3/8 bolt. I also use a flat braided cable and have that jumper to that so that I have a way to ground my box externally. When I take it with me, I take a short piece of ground rod, give it a couple taps of the hammer on the ground, and connect my grounding cable to, which I'll show you here in a bit. So after the paint dried, everything was done, I had to take my little Dremel tool and just clean all the paint off the ground holes and put the ox guard on there to prevent corrosion and give it a good clean ground too. So once again, this ox guard is an electrical grease. And there's the ground I made up for my box out of the flat braided cable. So once again, I got a 3/8 bolt, 3/16 coarse threaded bolt on the box itself, which is all jumpered off inside to allow me to connect the entire box to a ground. And if I do forget my ground rod, if I got to do parks and your activation, I'll go underneath the table and clip it to to a metal bracket. That usually works too. Now, here's a little lesson to be learned. And this is for you, Ken, if you realize there's enough on here studying for your general exam. When you do ground wires, you want to keep them no longer than 7.8 feet. And the reason there's on my screen, it's based on a quarter wave at 10 meters. In order to get the shortest length, I use the upper part at 10 meters is around 29,700. And if you remember, antenna form is 468 is for a half wave. And that calculation is based on a quarter wave, so I divide that by 2 to get 234. And that's how I came up with 7.8 feet. Anything longer than that, you definitely you'll become a resonant antenna, and you'll have all kind of funky things happen with your receive signal. So it's always best to keep a short ground wire on your radio.
Okay.
Yeah, Kat, you got that? There'll be a test.
There's going to be a test later? Oh, goodness.
No, there's going to be a test when you take your general.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Moral of the story here, Kaz, you want to always keep a short ground wire on your radio. And there's another bit of trivia here. Most people are in this. Some people may not, so I'm presenting this right now for that reason as a side note. There's an Aries power pole standard that states that you have to have the tongue down and the hood up, red on the left, black on the right, when you make your Anderson power pole cables and crimp them. Fan switch is pretty simple. I just got a silver toggle switch at the hardware store and use that to connect with my fan. And if time permits, when I'm down here, I got another camera set where I can show you my go box in the right here in the live, so to speak.
It is just 12 volts, right?
Yeah, 12 volts. Yeah, it's a 12 volt switch. Yeah.
Josh Vader is asking, grounding against a can doesn't introduce the same problems as a long ground cable?
It should not, no. If you keep the ground length short, and the reason I use a braided cable is to get surface area on the ground. Okay. And they got a good, like an inch wide flat braided cable to give more surface area to prevent that from happening.
Okay.
And yeah, like say you bleed it off into Mother Earth, so to speak, with the ground rod. But the fan switch is pretty simple. It's a 12 volt switch. You just connect it up. And any wire, any switch, always wire hot, meaning that both wires going to switch are plus. One side is the battery, and one side's we want to control, which is called the load. So in this case of the fan, I took the plus from the battery to one terminal in the switch, and the other terminal switch, I took the plus to the fan. And that's same with your house wiring too. If your regular on-off switch, it's all the hot wires could connect to it, and that's what breaks the circuit. Okay, the master power switch is a little more trickier because there's 3 leads, and this one I had to kind of figure out. I used a 9 volt battery, and I had a little teensy weensy muffin fan laying around here. So if I burned something up, it would be no harm, no foul. To figure all this out.
Why did you need 3 leads?
And I'll tell you why in a second.
Okay, sure.
No worries. These switches use a 3-wire system. In my old car, I have aftermarket heated seats, and they use the same exact switch. So I kind of had an idea what was what. Looking from the top to the bottom, the top is your negative or your common. It goes to the minus of your battery. The middle wire is what does the switching. Or I'm sorry, I take it back. The black was in the bottom, and the top was your positive to your battery. The middle wire is what does your switching between on and off. And they made that like an orange wire to kind of differentiate it between the other 2 wires. That orange wire I made is your switched feed, which goes to your load or the devices you want to turn on and off. In this case, I connected the plus from the radio and the plus from the voltmeter to that middle wire because I want to control those, and I turn the switch on and off. And when I did wire this, by the way, I took the fan, separated that from the power switch, meaning that that main power switch has no effect on the fan. The reason I did that is I can control the fan independently of the main power switch. Because I can shut the radio off and don't have to run the fan real fast to kind of cool it down. And going back to the solar panel question from before, this wiring harness, and I did this, as I said before, the bottom connectors go to the battery, which I plug my charger into. And I bought the special tails for that from BioEnno. The top wire here goes to a wire I have in my radio. If I have to use it, I just pull the plug on the battery and plug that into that, or plug this into that wire going to my radio. Then I can use an external power source. The advantage, once again, is if that battery runs out, then I can charge it while I'm using another source. So as you can see in my picture there, I make a couple of labels to label what was what. Okay, the box wiring. But what's the time now, Rhea? What time is it? And what you want me?
Oh, don't worry about that.
Okay. Okay, the box wiring is the completed product. Basically, is before I added the radio in, the tuner, and the face of the radio. So what that kind of looked like. So I connect all my reds and the blocks together basically in that harness. And I tape them up too with these wire nuts. They will not pop off. Just for safety's sake. And that's the final completed product, what it looks like. When I'm done here, I'm going to go to my other camera. I'm going to show you the box live and in person so you get a full idea of what I've done. Because I made a couple slight changes to the box since the picture was taken. I put a couple extra wire management features in there.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead. I'll let you finish, and then I have a couple questions here.
Yeah, so like I said. Okay. So then, once again, I want to thank you, ladies, for your time. I'm going to show you the box in a couple seconds live.
Okay.
On my slide here, I got the link to my pictures, so I'm going to leave this up for a couple seconds. So when people go to replay this video, they can see it. And anybody wants to email me, that's my email address.
Okay, very good. Kat, why don't you read off Nigel's question there?
What type of coax do you run on your portable antennas?
Okay, basically, my portable antennas, I got I have RG8X and RG8/213. That's what I had. That's what I use for my portable antennas. I got 4 100-foot jumpers off. 2 are RG8/213, and the other 2 are RG8X.
So I have a local friend here, and I'm going to say it exactly how he said it. KD2GIY ham radio. You could tell he's a Jersey guy, okay? Because he sounds like a Jersey guy. KD2GIY ham radio fun. He does all sorts of POTA. He invited me to a POTA the other day, but I couldn't because I had some other things going on. But one day we'll go out in the woods and play radio. But he said that how he had a FT891 in the can with a tuna, and 15 amp LiPo battery, and works like a charm. Plus, it works well with Alice Pack to do Manpack Portable, and he does all this POTA with it. I actually saw this in the flash. He had it. It was pretty impressive. It's similar to yours, actually.
Yeah, the thing with go boxes there's no one right solution. It's like decorating your house. There's different ways to do the same thing.
Yeah. I want to say good evening to Ham Radio Adventure Guy and a couple other people in chat here. We have Ham Radio Crash Course, Josh, KI6NAZ. We have Submarine Radio Man. We have, Jager, Josh Vader, Zero Cool, and a whole bunch of others. T-Ray and David College. I think he is brand new to the channel. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, this is pretty cool stuff. I mean, I have a bunch of these. I have the Harbor Freight ones, though. But the Harbor Freights are knockoffs, of course. But they're made on the same design as as the original ones. But no, there it is in the flesh. Wow.
Yep, there it is in the flesh right there.
Yeah.
See,
Let me see if I can spotlight you here.
there's the fan there. Notice the power switch is off. I can still work it either way.
Yeah. So this is your
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
So, did you have any challenges with this, trying to figure out how you're going to place everything?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's the reason the lay it out, this, do that, lay it out here, there, everywhere, until I got it right. Until I found a balanced a solution where it's the most efficient for me and my use. So you can see my voltmeter, my power switch here.
If you could redesign it and do anything different, would you?
Yeah, you know what? I thought about that, and I said, no, I'm happy with the way it is. So I'm quite pleased.
So tell us a little bit more about the solar connection. Because
Okay.
I'm big into solar.
Okay. So by the way, this is going to the microphone jack on my radio. I just have an RJ45 block here, so I can plug my mic into it
Interesting.
when I go portable. So I just plug it right back in there. By the way, this is my Studio B, as I call it. I have a couple of jumpers on from my shack up in the basement coming up here. So, okay, now if I can show this to you, now, way back in here, there's where the connector comes in off that connector on the side of the box. I disconnect that and pull that wire comes off the top jack into that main wire there. It goes to my radio. Use it that way.
Yeah.
That's how I work that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I have a good light here. I'd show you. And I meant to grab a flashlight before I came on the show, and I forgot to. But you can kind of see where the batteries, that blue things are in the back there.
Yeah, I mean it's not too bad. I mean, if let me look and see here. Let's see here. Let me solo you. Yeah. And then you can kind of see all the wiring and stuff like that. And the tuner, everything's secure. The radio, the control head. Yeah. And everything.
Yeah, when I
else.
designed it, it's a little overkill on it actually, but that's just the way I am.
I'm assuming you could take the cover and cover it up.
Yep, I'll show you there. Let me go back to my other camera here. Hold on, I got the cover right here.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, I'm back. Grab the cover here real fast.
Hello to Edward. I don't know how to pronounce your last name. I'm sorry.
This is the actual cover right here.
Okay.
And these go on the side of the box and clamp it closed.
Yeah.
As you can see, there's the handle.
Yeah, this definitely looks bigger than the other ones I have, than the other 50s I have, because it definitely looks bigger. Trust me.
Yes, this is well, keep in mind this is from 1966, so things are different than with the Army.
Okay, right.
Yeah, but the reason I got a little bit bigger box, so I had more components.
Yeah.
But right now I bought another ICOM radio a couple months ago, 2-meter 440 job. I'm trying to find a smaller box for that, and I'm going to build a second go box for that. And he's is my main area's go-to box for 2-meter stuff. Then this radio here I'll use for all HF work, so that I can have a place set up where I can talk on both sides.
Right.
What I did with this what was it back? Yeah, first weekend and first Saturday in October, we had our set drill.
Yeah. We had set drill too.
Yeah.
Kat, I think there are a couple of questions in the chat. I think. Kat,
they want to know how heavy the box is.
Around 25 pounds is my best guess. I really didn't weigh it per se, but that's what I'm going to say is around 20 to 25 pounds.
Are the antenna connectors brought out to the box, out of the box?
Yeah, they're about 2 inches long, and I drilled 2 holes in there, one for each one. And I put jumper from them inside the box to the radio, and then went to the tuner. And I have a third jumper I go from the tuner to the radio.
Yeah. Josh Vader is saying how he thinks he used the same size cans in the early 2000s, the Air Force, but they use them for 20 mil. So.
Yeah, like I said, once again, this box is from 1966.
Yeah, I wasn't around in 1966. I think my parents were still in elementary school or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Man, I was training pants back then, so
That's cool.
yeah,
Uh, yeah. And these are straight out of Nam, huh? That's pretty
escaped straight out of
interesting.
mom. Yep. My friend was there in 1966 after he graduated from high school, and he told me, yeah,
Hmm.
this is definitely ar- army issue back then.
Oh, that's
So it's
pretty
definitely
cool.
a piece of history too.
Yeah. So yeah, I think some people in the audience are kind of like saying, this is more of something you bring in your vehicle and you don't take it far from your vehicle. I think I might see it more. I don't think you're gonna like hike up like 6 miles with this thing
No,
on your
no,
back.
that's not the intention. This is more for
Yeah.
MCOM use and parks in the air.
Okay. Okay. So this is more
Yeah.
like you drive somewhere and you pull it out your truck.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have a MFJ 3/8 antenna mounts, three magnets on the top of my vehicle, and I
Hmm.
have a Wolf River Coil Silver Bullet 1000, which I use for portable parks in the air ops with this radio.
Right. So one question I have: do you use the VHF UHF capability of the radio? You do, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah, I do
Now
here, and
some
I'm trying to check my nets.
Yeah. So KD2GIY, he's saying all you need is APRS. Are you able to connect APRS to this or?
I'd have to look at the book to see if it supports that. I'm not. I don't know what the correct answer to that is. I have to I have to read the manual. I'm not
I
a
don't
big
think.
APRs person myself, so
Yeah, I don't think the radio natively supports it. I think you probably need to use like a sound card mode or a
yeah,
GNC or something.
that's what I
Yeah,
was thinking. Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. My where is it? Here, I have my. Gosh, I'm digging in my bag now, rummaging through. Anyway, I use my Kenwood D74 for APRS. And that radio is no longer in print, no longer in production.
Reduction, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great radio. I really love the radio. You know,
Yeah,
and
I have my C7000 in my vehicle,
yeah,
and that thing's good, about 15 years old, still going. And I
I
do have,
have one of those too. Actually, it's pretty interesting. Um, let me see one of us here. So yeah, okay. Let's see here. I don't think there's anything else. So what else do you do besides GoBox?
you mean ham radio?
Yeah,
Uh,
you're a big MCOM person. Do you
yeah, big
do
MCOM person. I'm also the EC for my Connie.
right?
And I
Do you
organize a
do
lot of things go on here. Help organize our. We do it in September. We have the Great Race here in the
okay?
city of Pittsburgh. I help organize the operators for that,
Mhm.
and also I used to organize the coming race for the Cure. However, when
Okay.
COVID came along, they come and close their Pittsburgh office, so I'm not sure if it's going to ever happen here again.
Yeah, Susan G. Komen things. Yeah, I think they had to like cancel all their events. Everybody canceled, and things are hopefully.
Yeah.
They say
They
things are
they moved to
spiking
a
back.
virtual model,
Yeah,
what they
that's
did,
not good.
and the same. I also organized the American Diabetes Tour to Cure. In the last couple of
Right.
years, that went virtual too as well. So next year we'll see what happens with those two events. And I have another team of people that organize our Pittsburgh Marathon in May, and that was canceled for the last 2 years as well due to COVID.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, Kat, you got anything else for us?
No, he answered all my questions. I don't know. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Where's the cats tonight?
Um, Rex is downstairs. He's been a very naughty, naughty boy. Um, I have learned that he is going to be a one cat household. He was attacking the kittens earlier,
Oh
like
no.
legitimately pouncing on the 8 weekers, and he's 5 months old. So, yeah.
He's a bad kitty.
So he's been bad, so he's in his room. The other two
Yeah.
kittens are probably in bed asleep because they got worn out today since I was working from home. They were out most of the day, so they got to romp around and play. So I'm sure they are tired and exhausted, and I've not heard a peep since I fed them, and they've been in there.
So one more thing, Scott Anderson is asking: is anybody doing winter field day.
Yeah, on my club here, because we do is talk about the ordinance.
Mm. Now, I have a question related to winter field day. Since you said bio and a battery, how does it work in the cold?
I haven't tried it in the cold yet.
Okay, that'll
And
be a good
normally I'll
test
take
for
it
it.
right out in the cold during the winter months. I keep it. There's a place like I keep it out in storage here in the house.
Yeah, because I do some stuff with a battery company, EcoFlow, and they have like temperature ranges for their um, batteries, right? Well, they don't sell they sell things like this. This is like a power bank, right?
Yeah.
Which is like thing, and I have a bigger one here. I wonder if I could. Uh,
That's-
no, it's powering my whole streaming setup. But basically, it's like a all-in-one power station, right?
yeah.
Um, and they have temperature sensors and stuff. It shuts off. I think Bioenno has that. I think some of the cheaper ones. And like Josh Vader was saying, don't charge LFP lithium iron phosphate below 32 Fahrenheit. They
Yeah.
don't
That's
like that.
because of the chemical composition. Yeah.
Yeah, I drive a Tesla too, so it kind of like in the
Oh,
wintertime, the battery heater has to come on to heat the battery because it can't charge in extreme cold. Although I've driven that down to like, minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit with no problems. The only problem is I lose some range, one, and then two, the battery heater has to come on to heat the battery. So it slows charging a little bit. But
I'm just curious what type of battery those Teslas use.
they use regular nickel, cobalt, manganese.
Okay.
Yeah, they which is the regular what you call lithium ion batteries.
Okay.
Some of
Gotcha.
the Model 3, some of the Model 3s are actually coming with lithium iron phosphate, but those are assembled in China, right? Because that's the kind of batteries. The only problem is they lose um, a little bit of range um, because lithium iron phosphate is less energy dense than NCM. So
Yeah.
what you find is that for the same weight of battery, you get less range, you get less energy. But the plus side is you get more charging cycles, and it's a safer chemistry, right?
Yeah.
It's the LFP lithium iron phosphate is more fire resistant and such. So yeah.
Yeah. And there's on the FAA website, there's a thing right up about what kind of batteries you can take on a plane with you.
So I was talking earlier about this thing where I could take. This is the largest size of battery, which is almost 100 watt hours to take on an airplane. You can't take anything. You could get permission from the airline, but they usually try not to because of the risk of fires and such.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm talking to you. I'm looking something up here in bio on a website. See if they mention anything about what the temperature range on this is. You're talking about that. Yeah,
yeah,
don't seem to say anything about that there
yeah.
because I'm not familiar with the chemical makeup of lithium iron phosphate myself personally.
Yeah. So let me see. I have a test unit here. I'll show you what they say about the specifications. So I don't know if you could see this here, but mm, let me solo myself here.
Okay.
Right. So here they give you the specs. They say charge within 32 Fahrenheit to 113. It's kind of hard to focus. Yeah,
That's what I
32 to
kind of
1.
figured nothing below 32.
Yeah,
That's what
nothing
starts
below.
freezing.
There we go. 32 to
Yeah.
113,
Yeah.
and discharge between 14 to 113. So this battery is actually powering my house right now. So it's a home battery, right? It's plugged into my
Hmm.
electrical panel, and during the day it charges from solar, and during the night it drains down to a certain level, and then um, I have a algorithm that kind of just turns back on the AC charging. It comes on about 2 a.m. in the morning, just to
Right.
not drain it below a certain level. But if I have a power outage, it'll power everything in my house. Well, most things, a lot of things.
Yeah. Speaking of power, you mentioned before at the top of the show you use a special unit there. I think you showed it there before. trying to keep half an eye open. Some could run my laptop reliably out in the field.
Yeah. So let me see if I could bring it up. This is really interesting. Okay. I'll show you my latest thing here. It's kind of, so this is the new hotness. Okay.
Mhm.
This is, sorry, what I use.
What's it
This
called
is
again?
a EcoFlow River
Okay.
Mini, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is so this uses NCM. It's for likeness, but it has USB ports on the front. It has I wanna see this here. And how do I? Oh well, yeah. It has a cigarette lighter here. It has USB. It has solar charging too on the side. It has a built-in MPPT controller, right? And it has
Okay.
AC charging. And it has AC inverter. So it's more than just a simple battery. It's actually an all-in-one power station. And they actually won an award from Time Magazine, one of the best 100 inventions for this year. So it's pretty good.
The,
And yeah.
I'm sorry. What's the DC output in that unit? I mean, for as
So
far as
this
for amp
the
hours.
internal battery is 24 volts, but the DC output is just basically 12.5, 13 volts around there. So it's basically like a 12 volt.
Okay.
This is more of a consumer. This is not really an amateur radio device. It's a
Right.
consumer-oriented device.
Yeah.
But I use this. I could use this to power my ICOM 705, which I do, and I also use it to power my laptop. So I get quite a bit of runtime in my laptop
Yeah.
because my laptop's runs about, let's say, 40 to 60 watts. And this thing is 210 watt hours, so I'd probably get like 3 to 3.5 hours of runtime at full blast on the laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh, this one is NMC. The big unit at home is LFP, right? The big one, the one I have at home is LFP, but does it raise the noise level? So yeah, it has a few birdies, but I put ferrites on the cable and I took care of most of that. So it's really, you have to find ways to deal with it. But as far as the home battery, they actually shield all the electronics in a metal box, and it's actually not bad at all. I don't, I notice a little thing. I don't really notice much at all. Yeah. So
It's
so
going
yeah.
going back to my set drill story.
Hmm.
Was I day in the set drill, I just ran my laptop straight off the bat. I got the full 2.5 hours out of it. Left me throughout the entire drill because I had this hooked up to my Go box to run my radio for FL Digi.
Hmm. Interesting.
That's the
All
reason
right. Well,
I'm asking.
yeah. So we've been going for like an hour and change now. I'd like to thank you very much for
Thank you for
coming
having
and
me on. I
presenting.
appreciate it. Very
Yeah,
educational.
and if you have anything else new and cool, come back on sometime. Let me know. You know my email address.
Yep.
Now, do you said you do stuff on YouTube as well, or?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube channel NU3Q Amateur Radio, and I've hooked up to
Okay.
I've done my ham shack and my IC 7300, and I've hooked my streams hooked straight into the radio, hooked straight to the stream, so I can people can hear the incoming stream on the radio on live when I'm talking.
Hmm. Okay. The funny thing is, my channel I actually started off my channel doing that, right? And I kind of just got, people were asking me questions for to teach them stuff, so I began to make videos, and
Yeah,
then the rest is history. I mean,
yeah,
now apart.
yeah. I have a couple of YouTube how-to videos on my channel as well. One of them how to install a PL259 the Tim Duffy way.
Yeah, now I'm actually popular enough that people are trying to bot my channel. They're trying to take me down.
Yeah, I heard
They
you
won't
say
take
about
me
the
down.
bots top the show there.
Oh, it's hilarious. All right, thank you. And Kat, any final words?
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to both of our channels.
I am. I do.
And don't forget to hit that notification bell.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Bob, for coming on. This is Two Chicks and a Radio. Everybody, 73. Have a great night, and we'll be on my channel next week. Well, no, next week is actually Thanksgiving. So everybody have a happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you, lady. Same to you. Hope we can hook up a date sometime.
Yes.
So next
one's going to be the following week.
Yep.
Yeah. So next week, well, I don't know. I mean, we'll see how we do the show. I don't have any big plans for Thanksgiving, but who knows? Maybe after dinner if I don't fall asleep.
How about this? We will play it by ear, and then we'll announce it via Twitter what our plans are. So don't forget to follow us on Twitter as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
73, guys.
73, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.